August is National Black Business Month, and that is one way people can help the community by supporting those businesses. Rocky Theus introduces us to one local businesswoman continuing to make her way as a local pioneer in a new industry.
Hard work, dedication, motivation, drive.
That's what comes to mind when Kima Ogden, the owner of Top Notch the Health Center, thinks of Black-owned businesses. She is one of the only Black female owners in the cannabis industry and the only one in Nevada that has equity in it.
I think the common misconceptions that people have of Black-owned businesses is that we're unorganized, we're cheap, we're for lack of a better word, ghetto. It's really far from the truth.
So what she's saying is, we have to be twice as good as our counterparts to be successful.
You have to be twice as knowledgeable. You have to be more prepared. It definitely is, as a woman in general, in a world of executives that are men, you already have to do that. But as a minority, it takes it even up a notch.
Hence why Kima's business is top notch.
We're like a big family here, but yet we compete with some of the big giants in town.
And that's a big deal considering what it took to get here.
And this industry was built on the backs of minorities. You know, we've always been involved in different areas of different industries, and we really don't get the justice when it comes to being able to be involved in the industry when it finally materializes and monetizes.
As a Las Vegas native and entrepreneur, there was no better place for Kima to build.
As a whole, there's a lot of opportunity here. You really have to hit the ground floor, though, with change in the industry you want to be involved in, or get really involved in legislation to make sure you get a fair shake.
At the end of the day, as a Black or minority business owner, it's not about you, it's about your community. And that's how you stay strong.
We are very fortunate because the community, we do a lot of community advocacy work, we do a lot of community give back. I've done that prior to this business, I've always been involved in that. And I think that's why the community as a whole gives back as well to us. They support us, we support them.
That was Rocky Theus doing that story for us. Let's jump in right there. Craig Knight, GM at Power 88.1. Craig, what can people do to be proactively in support of Black businesses? What would you recommend?
I would recommend just spending your dollars with them. You know, looking over the list, there's Devin Moore has a list called Go Urban Vegas, and it has a listing of all of the Black businesses in the community, and it's a variety of different Black businesses, more than just restaurants, barbershops, and beauty shops, but he has lawyers, he has accountants, bankers, you name it, it's on that list. So what we have to do as a Black community, we have to spend our dollars more with each other, because from what I understand, the Black dollar only lasts in the Black community for 6 hours, where other cultures, it lasts for 30 days, 27 days, etc. So I would say just whatever it is you're trying to do, see if there's a Black business that has that product or service that you're looking for first.
And Craig, remind people where they can find that assembled list.
GoUrbanVegas.com.
Excellent, thank you. Kennedy and Craig, you guys have both given us so much wisdom over the past hour. If we could, in these final minutes of the show, and Kennedy, we'll start with you. If you could just leave a final thought, a parting message for those that are watching us on this Friday night, something that they can walk away with.
I would say to seize the day. This is the third iteration of civil rights, from Reconstruction era in the 1800s to the civil rights movement in the 60s, and now the Black Lives Matter movement today. And we're not waiting on a charismatic leader to lead us. We're the ones that we've been waiting for. So every person is responsible for changing this tide. They are responsible for standing up for what's right in every place they live, work, play, and worship. And if everyone takes that responsibility and goes for it with that, denounces it when they see it, and dismantle racism, particularly in structural ways, then I think we can move forward as a country.
And Kennedy, before we go to Craig, when you say stand up for what is right and jump in, how do you recommend people do that? How do you recommend that they do that in their own lives?
they need to know that their voice matters. And so if you're at the country club and you see something happening like we saw in an earlier segment, then you have to write a letter as well. You have to pick up the phone and say, I don't like what I saw. And you have to be vocal about that. And so if you're getting 15, 20 phone calls, maybe you'll change something. But don't just leave it to the victims of certain instances to stand up for themselves. Say that I agree with them and I want to see change as well.
Craig, what message can you impart and leave with our viewers watching this special?
I would say that right now we're living where we have 4 generations living at the same time. We have the baby boomers, which is my parents. We have Generation X, which is my generation, the millennials, and Gen Z. We have a grand opportunity to learn from each other and work together to build a better today and a brighter tomorrow. So we just have to listen to each other. And like Kennedy alluded to earlier, Gen Z, that TikTok, that technology, they have something to bring and offer, you know. My generation, Generation X, we were actually the children of the civil rights movement. When our parents and grandparents were out there with John Lewis and Martin Luther King, we were babies. We were just born or we were children. And they fought for us so that we can continue to fight. I'm 55 years old. The right to vote is only 55 years old. It wasn't that long ago where we couldn't vote. So I like to say to those who don't think their vote matters or its value, it does value and it does matter. Otherwise, why would they try to suppress and take it from you? You have to understand that. That's part of democracy.
A brighter tomorrow, you say, Craig, and I love hearing that. Better days ahead. It is a very challenging time. Let's all hope for that. Boy, we couldn't have had better guests. Thank you both so much for being with us and imparting all this wisdom over the past hour on a multitude of topics. We do so appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
Bianca, Kirsten?
Yes, thank you so much for joining us with this important community conversation.
Yes, we do have some extra interviews from people in the special on our website at 8newsnow.com. Have a wonderful evening.